Hello everybody, welcome back to Wolfeei, because today we're going to be looking at the strongest potential MCC roster 2025 updated. I've done this a few times in the past. A little heads up, there's some people on this that may be, or on the past ones at least, that may not be around anymore. But regardless, today we're going to be doing a updated version of the strongest roster you could potentially make using players from only MCC Season 4. Obviously, we're headed into Season 5, hopefully within the next, 2 months. We'll see, I guess. But I wanted to do a little recap strongest people from MCC Season... Jesus. MCC Season 4, 2024, because... there was a lot of one-time players and new players that are very good, and I think you could make a roster with a lot of people included that's going to feel very different than the past ones. Because, and here comes the alert, we're going to go to the other tab now, in the past, there were videos I made, this one is from April 21st, 2021, almost 4 years old, talking about the strongest potential roster you could make with MCC players, etc. And it resulted in teams like this, which obviously, or this one is actually pretty safe, and then you have this one is fine-ish, this one, and this one, you get the point. It's like, yeah, there's teams across the board, and they're interesting, you could say it for sure. So... yeah, and then there's this one, which has the same situation going on, where, to an extent, it's a little outdated, especially the first team. This might be the worst aged team in history regarding MCC. Oh my god. Regardless, today, we're moving along from that, and we're making an updated version of this, because I think it's interesting, and also because competitive talks regarding Minecraft events in general are often talked about, and I think, even on the hypothetical level, it's fun to mention things when, obviously, in reality, it's never going to happen. Also, just to mention it, I wasn't going to make a video about this specifically, but I guess could tag along with this one. MCC tweeted, 4 days ago, saying, hey, we're still here, we're just on a break, which usually means that they're kind of, extending the wait period a little bit. Not to say that I think they're going to be gone for ages, but last time I think they did a reminder post either late February, early March-ish, and then they announced, or no, it was around March time I think they made a reminder post, and then they announced a few weeks later. Not to say that they'll announce something a few weeks from now, but there is a chance that they will. This could just be coincidental, but I wanted to mention it regardless because we've seen this before. Maybe we'll see the same thing happen again. Regardless, let's get into the teams for this hypothetical event. Boom! Starting off, you're going to see some interesting combos, whether it's people that have never teamed before, obviously, because it's super high skill. I will also say, balancing, I probably did a horrible job. Balancing a roster of a lot of one-time players and a lot of maybe inconsistent players and a lot of returning players, etc. is super difficult. On top of that, you can't really slot people into their typical skill slots because, for example, Ollie in MCC now I think is a second or third frag. He's at the bottom of this team. Misty will never be the second frag in MCC, I think. Phil never gonna be the third frag, I think, in MCC again. So you can kind of tell how it turns into an interesting type of roster. You see some slots the people are put in that may feel a little out of the ordinary. However, I think this is a good team to start off with. Not really sure exactly the combo reasons. I had Sandwich and Phil on a team because this is kind of a good opportunity to let that happen. I think Ollie slots in pretty nicely there. I think Ollie with Phil and Ollie with Sandwich is fun. And then Misty, I feel like Misty vibes well with everyone there. Knows everybody on the team. Has spoken to everybody, I think, a few times. I think slots in well, and I think, that's about it. It works. I don't know. It works. Next up, though, you have, a fun other detour. I will also say that a lot of these teams were... I had a draft, and then I looked at the draft, I was like, ooh, this team feels a little strong. This team feels a little weak. From the knowledge that I had of, these people are roughly this skill level. And I don't think this is definitely very balanced still, because I would maybe argue that orange is a bit stronger than red, depending on, I guess, the difference between Oppo and Phil, but maybe it's close. I don't know. But you have a JoJo and Phil duo again. Then I wanted to do some Rats stuff, although Pete's... wait, they said JoJo and Phil. JoJo and Pete. I don't know. My bad. I just spoke too soon. JoJo and Pete duo again. And I wanted to do some Rats stuff because originally Owen was on this team. But then I wanted to balance things out, so then I put Martin here, who's also Rats affiliated, of course. I think it's a fun combo. That's about it. Next up, you have Yellow, which is, I wanted to make a team for Coldy that somewhat makes sense, besides just being a Spanish team. So this is what you get. I'm fairly sure Coldy knows maybe everyone on this team. I'm fairly sure Coldy knows Dave and Jordan. I don't know if Coldy knows Ryan. But obviously Dave, Ryan, and Jordan works well together. I think it's a good combo. I mean, I don't even have to give my opinion on the combo. They did it like 10 times in MCC history. I don't think that's really debatable whether it works or not. So there you go, yellow team. Pretty good. Next up, Lime. You have Ant and 5UP, classic duo. I put Scott with them because I'm fairly sure... No, Scott's teamed with Ant many times. One of those being the classic MCC 14, I think. And then I don't know if 5UP and Scott's have teamed before. If they have, it's probably been a little bit, but obviously from Among Us, they will know each other super well. I think it's a good combo, and I think Hannah slots in pretty well as well, because Hannah is, friends with Ant, teamed with 5UP and Blockers recently. Also, they know each other for a while, and obviously know Scott for a while as well. So I think it's good. And you might be like, I would have expected Hannah to be with Purpled, whatever. Well, that's where Wally comes in. I didn't really want to take the risk of doing Purpled, Wally, Hannah, and then figuring out who to put as the bottom frag there. So I just kind of gave Purpled, Wally, and then Harvey, I think, is also a good third to put there. And then Owen maybe is a little out of the ordinary on this team, but I think it's probably fine. I don't know. I think it's whatever, man. I think it works to an extent, maybe a little bit. Next up, Cyan team, which has, as you would expect, Shane and Joel on the same team. Haley with Shane makes sense as well. And then Akko, I think, fits super well as the fourth on this team, knowing everybody quite well. So I think, yeah, good team. I like it. I'm a fan. Next up is me. I don't know if you already could tell, but you had a little speck of red earlier when I was scrolling. I kind of just had me on a team. I think me and Shadoon would work. Obviously, we know each other pretty well, but also because I don't know. I feel like making a video like this and then putting me with either Misty or Shane, as much as that would be fun, would be like the most standard expected result. So I just kind of wanted to do something different. And I think, obviously with me and Shadoon, Sneak and Callum fit super well. I think that's a great combo. And yeah, pretty fun. Next up, Blue is the team that represents Blue. Or more so, I was like, well, Fruits, Berries, and Plushie would be a cool combo. Yeah, Plushie, I just grabbed someone from Rising because why not? Might as well. Doesn't really matter. Yeah, Fruit and Plushie I had together. I was like, well, I got Fruit. I want to kind of put green in here because it would be funny, and then I had H-Bomb. I think H obviously would make a lot of sense there. It would be quite the insane team to be on Blue specifically, considering it has Plushie and green. But hey, I guess that's how the turntables this time around. And then next up you have Purple, which is just the German team. I will say, fairly sure that this probably would be... I could see the German team maybe actually not being that bad in this roster, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little bit weak, because the German team did dominate in Twitch Rivals EU, right? They did super well, but the teams they were up against were quite a bit weaker in terms of the English department, quite a bit weaker than the ones you see on the board here. So I think they might struggle a little bit to this roster, but hey, maybe with a little bit of experience on their backs, they could actually hold up. I don't know. And then finally, I'll just put it over here. Boom. You got the pink team of Fine, Curry, Zam, and Ash, which I think would be pretty fire. I think it'd be a cool team. And then some of the leftover players I had were Rai Guy, Zeus, and Cookie, because I initially had them in the roster, but I didn't really know what to do with them. Obviously, if you take out the Rising people, so you take out Plushie, Zam, and Ash, and then you try to, fit these guys in, you could probably make a full roster of people who played in Season 4 without playing in Rising. But I think it's a hypothetical. Who cares, man? It's a whatever, right? It's just a fun result that you have on your hands here. Let me know what you think about this roster. It doesn't really matter because it's not happening, but let me know regardless. And yeah, hopefully we'll not see this. I would still play, of course, in this. It would be definitely quite the rough experience, but maybe if everyone's just trolling, it'd be funny. Maybe that would be how it works. If everyone just trolls and doesn't actually try, this would be a pretty interesting experience. Regardless, thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.